This is Dr. Jeanne O'Dean, the founder of Universal Telesis 6 Institute. I'm continuing my journey with King John Wanoa, a royal MOAI descendant from Easter Island, who is a scholarly historian on the MOAI culture. We are now, today is Monday, July 27th, and we are located in Auckland at the War Memorial Museum, where there is an exhibit of the MOAI statue that was originally located on Easter Island. So, King John, what we're going to do in this segment, because we're going to be visiting different locations in New Zealand where there are other MOAI statues. So at this museum, I think we're going to mostly focus on the relationship with the Crown and the New Zealand government pertaining to this particular MOAI statue and the others located on government landmarks. Okay, so King John, could you please start out and give us some historical perspective on this particular MOAI statue, the head of it?
Thank you, Jeanne. First of all, I want to explain that the heads are original basalt rock from East Island, Rapa Nui, and so they were carried here prior to Queen Victoria picking the first one and taken to London in 1868. So in 1953, they brought this head, the government here, Crown New Zealand government, bought this head here and placed it for a reason, to connect themselves and their corporations to the East Island history and mirror themselves around the MOAI original Tahitian culture. And so from this real rock earth statue memorial, it was to justify their documents against some sort of higher authority, which is the mana, the power of the chief at that time, that they recognised that they can base their legal authority for being here. So this one, and there's one in Dunedin that was taken around the same time, but it's got its basket of knowledge hat on its head, but they've taken this one off because most of the British and European went to the South Island where there was less fighting, and the North Island was plagued with wars, and so they left the head off and controlled New Zealand from more from their more people there, immigrants, safer from the warring tribes. Now, I just want to say this, that we've connected our own MOAI, Wanoa, royal families, to this statue head as our original connection to the land. And here, and Rapa Nui, where they came from there was Raiatea Island. And so those two islands are connected to these memorials that are the focus of authority. From a specific point of view, they are the law, L-O-R-E, God's law. Tikanga is originated from the head and the basket of knowledge on his head, to Raiatea Island, where the Tikanga MOAI law, native law, was put together for the whole Pacific. So they mirrored themselves with corporations. The Queen Victoria, through to Queen Elizabeth, have based their history on these statues, so that it took the mana away from us and gave it to them. They virtually took our legal connections into their system of law, L-A-W, to make their governments exist here, from England, Britain, to here, nowhere else, just between us and Britain. Okay, so I just want to let you ask more questions because I can say as much more, but ask me more.
And yes, King John, in looking at the statue, and we do have to apologize for the lighting. We are in the museum and it's dim lighting, so this is the best we can do. We did get permission from the museum to film, but not to set up tripods and lights. So we're trying to capture the image of this MOAI statue as best as we can. Now, in looking at it and doing background research, the MOAI statues are comprised of the basalt material, but can you explain why this statue only has a head and is not the complete statue?
Okay.
And pretty much the average measurements of these statues.
Okay, it's about 800 millimeters to, it's about 800 wide and 900 tall, and about 600 deep. That's the size of it.
You're talking about this head in
this
particular.
Head. The rest of it, the body is missing because they've taken the head off as being, that's all they wanted for their political purposes, and it has taken the money out by taking the rest of it off. Whereas the statue in Dunedin has its full body and head and hat on his head. So it's completed for them and their people at that time of using that as their legal authority to be there to their connections to Britain. So it was the British, UK, Westminster government that allowed this to happen and to alienate the land and the mana whenua title. It is a title to the land, and they don't know it, and people should know that Maori is quite different to Moai in that all different cultures and religions and came from the Pacific on different parts of the islands of New Zealand, and so they have their own history. That's why not too many people know where it stretches back to 300 AD to Kupe, the Maori Ngāpuhi chief, in 900 AD. So there's a big gap between this and that, and this is my history.
So the Moai statue has been, in Easter Island, had been identified at 300 AD, if not earlier.
Yes, so that's on the British papers. That's on their documents. We only go on, it's older than 300 AD. It goes back to Samuel's pyramids in their intellect.
Right.
At that time, they were still wondering, and they're still wondering how they shifted those big statues around the country, around East Island, put them in different places up the hill, and wondered how they got it out of the quarry up the hill with no hard timber or steel to carry it. So more or less levitated to their rightful position without breaking the heads off. Okay? So they experimented to try and, this is the curious white man, is still trying to play around to find out how they shift them, walk them and roll them and put them on their back and pull them. They're trying all sorts to find how they shifted them into their positions, pointing in the right direction. So now that this Moai head is here, it means that God didn't say put it here, man put it here. Okay, man put one in the most powerful countries in the world. But for us, it links us to something of a memorial, same as the obelisk, and the pyramids belong to the black African Nubians, not the Vatican picked it up and took it to Rome and said, this is ours. And that's in this era. It comes from that same higher intellect and higher frequency that we don't have now because God took the mana out of it when they started to do all sorts of mischievous things with the...
So you're saying, I don't know if it can be, if it's been officially carbon dated, I know that there's still estimates, but you're saying during the time of the pyramids, and the Aztecs, that these,
2018.
yeah, that these Moai statues were created and erected on Easter Island. So,
Yes.
and then it was discovered by the Dutch.
They were all standing. Yes.
They were all standing. In what year did the Dutch
It was,
discover them?
1468, around about
1468.
1468. They were
Okay.
first there, and then the British came in the 1600s. Then they walked them over.
Okay. Well, you had also shared about Queen Victoria is the one that, when you say they, I'm assuming it's the Britons that took them over, but probably the Dutch. Okay. So it was Queen Victoria's order out of Westminster to remove a Moai statue, and that statue is
Standing
located
in the Queen Elizabeth Great Court in London, complete.
the original, the complete. It's the
With its body
complete.
and its head and its feet and its hands.
Okay. And we'll go more into that aspect of it in a little bit more depth in another series. So that's located there. So more or less, that's empowered Queen Victoria,
Yes.
taking the mana. And you're saying mana whenua. Can you go into more depth for those that don't understand mana whenua, the meaning behind that?
Mana whenua is power over land, earth. So she's taken one of them to break the traditional culture of one Moai statue missing from its connections and its direction, pointing east, west, south, and took it to London, and she didn't know what it meant other than prized possessions for the Crown Corporation to. She took from 1868, from 1840 when the treaty, it took that long, 28 years, to find out that this hold the mana of the whole world. And that's where the birth of the earth was, the navel on East Island. So they went there to collect one of them, so that they can link themselves to East Island, because it lined up with their geodetic lines, their ley lines, on their maps that they drew. So they've fashioned themselves around having something to do with this history, Egypt's history that they took, and connected the Tahitian with the Egyptian pyramids and the obelisks to our MOAI. Why they didn't take any other one that had that power of something buried up to his neck on East Island, just shows you no one else did that, but just those people. My own Wanoa royal family from Tahiti, they came from Royalty Island. God said, going to East Island, and built a place for me. So they don't know they got the right one or not. They might not have the right Moai statue. It's only us that can read and say our own stories, not somebody else, that the Dutch, the English. So they put the 300 AD on their documents. So we're going by what the Crown Corporation, Queen Victoria, said on their documents to date it. We don't worry about carbon dating. We only worry about what they wrote and stick it to them and say, where did you get that from? How did you determine that? When it's 3000 AD with the feet, my feet are the same as the Nubian, African, black African. I'm going to test that to make sure I'm right with this connection to their pyramid and their obelisk. My feet the same, so this head will be the same with its basket of knowledge on the top.
So yeah, and that will be another segment of our series of connecting the DNA. And so we'll go into more depth with that in another series. So I'm going to just we've got the laptop doing this, but what I'm going to angle the tablet so people can see at the top. It does look like something was removed from the very top. There's a hole, and so could you go into that crown or basket of knowledge and what your story conveys, so with the meaning behind that, and why it might be significant that they did remove basket of knowledge.
So in the um, British UK lineage of monarchy and sovereignty, they have metal crown on the head for the king and a metal crown on the head for the queen. And so we have an earth crown for our family as being a crown is a mound of a hill or a mound of some sort. So they've got a mound on their head which can be melted. You can't melt this one because it's fixed for life. He's fixed in stone and writings on its back of its body. So as far as we're concerned, it is only the whakapapa or the genealogy that connects me to the land as speaking for the land. And they can't speak for the land that he's standing on. And so I've got to explain to them the hat that's missing is to take the power away from the North Maoris. North Island. The South Island Maoris, the South Island had less Maoris at that time. It's only mostly British and European and France and French. So they have got the real one with the basket on his head, the crown. That's our crown as to the metal crown that's the Queen wears on her head. It's a bit shaky. It's a bit shaky. So this one is solid rock. It's never going to shift. And the other one's never going to shift. So all I can do is stand beside the other one and say, so I'm here. All the MOAI statue is no different in the mana of he's got to go home or he can stay there and command the earth that he's standing on. So they took it there for us.
They, can you say who's they?
The Crown corporations, governments, parliaments, control the world and how they say they are the ones with the law. But this is God's law, truth, clean, pure. At that time, they were able to do levitation, everything that man can't do now, and the machinery, and the fine pyramids that no man can do, and the weight and how they shift everything without machines. So I'm saying they, at that time, these people that now called alien, they're calling them the alien. Well, they're the alien. They came and latched on to our history, and so we're owning up to our story. This hasn't been told, it's been suppressed. So there is still more history with the eyes. Took the eyes out, pearls.
The pearls,
yeah,
yes.
Pearly eyes, because they say it's blind, can't see. Okay? So they put them, well, we put them in when there's occasions so that he can see. And so you'll see with the MOAIs that I draw, I put the eyes back in so he can see everybody. And so they don't like it, the one in London. I put the eyes back in on the photos.
So are you saying that the MOAI statue that's in the High Court in London, the Royal Court in London, have the eyes removed?
I put the eyes in the picture.
No, physically. Are those eyes removed? The statue, okay.
Yeah.
And then this head, which the body's been removed, that's in the Auckland War Memorial Museum where we are right now, it's evident that the eyes have been removed. They're kind of, was it abalone or actual pearl?
Pearls.
Actually pearls. Purple pearls.
Mm-hmm.
Now in Dunedin, which is in the South Island of New Zealand, does that statue has its eyes and has the crown
and
basket.
Crown.
So, and it's called the basket of knowledge or crown.
Yes, that's God's ultimate authority. And they say they put their hand on the Bible to swear to God. We just need to put our arms around here and we're with God. You see, because they can't tell a true story. They won't go near it. They took the plaque away with all the writings on it. I'm surprised. They've taken it away, so he won't read what his history was. So they're clever because they know I'm doing the history on it, and they don't want anybody to know what it means, other than someone who can talk for it.
Well, and actually, King John, we're at in the museum that's really mostly featuring the MOAI
Maori.
artifacts, the Maori artifacts. So it is not distinguished or delineated from the Maori. So any visitor to the museum would just believe that this is part of the Maori artifacts.
Yes.
And so there's no way of differentiating the MOAI statue.
That's right, because they put it amongst a little bit of peaceful area, but the war factioning of the weapons and everything, you'll find a little bit away from where the Moai is sitting by himself. And it's peace. It's peace, harmony, and life combined in truth. They the government will always talk more about war. They're more focused on than peace here. Okay, this is peace, love, and harmony. But they rather spend a lot on the war of faction of Maoris to make them look better. When he's only this big and he's got a bigger story to tell, then whatever else there is, he's the universe. He's connected to the universe, and other such rock objects. So they have their place, and they're still curious researchers trying to find what makes a Moai so special. And they can't talk for it because they're not as close to the history, that they can't write it right without knowing that's your male bloodline. God, male bloodline. Otherwise it would have been a female. They're all male. Not so much as Buddha being female too. This is all male. Right through. God the man. God the Father, God the Son. Okay? So that's why land titles are always going to be king titles of man, so you can't sell it. This is that you don't sell land. Man came along, he's for anything. He can be one or the other. And so that's why I say this is safe.
Right.
It's safe to solid rock. That's why I say not wood. Wood can be burnt, but this one lasts longer.
And we'll also reference the present archaeological dig that is happening in Easter Island and the discoveries as they're digging deep into the holes, knowing that there are full bodies that are being unearthed. Still looking for more signals and evidence. But you are aware of the real story. But it does expose that there is more than just the heads in Easter Island,
yes.
That there is complete bodies.
Yes.
So
when the aliens took the island, the British, they dropped back the Moai people back to Royalty Island in Tahiti. So that didn't go to Marquess or didn't go to the other islands. They took it back where their home, where they came from. That just tells you that the link back to Royalty, where the tikanga law was put together for these to be built and to ground their selves to pure, clean law.
okay.
That's what he is. He doesn't shed blood, for one. He doesn't mix up with war or anything like that. And he's been sitting in the middle of war with the most powerful countries that have him there. Singapore is the centre of the Pacific, where they've got one Moai standing outside the door, main door going in for good luck.
Main door of what building?
Of the courthouse.
The courthouse
in
government courthouse in Singapore.
Where they have the Asian Pacific Economic Forums.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's the mana that they're using to connect themselves to Moai. Good luck. That's why they labeled it good luck.
Now, does that statue in Singapore have the crown or basket of knowledge? Is that and an eye and eyes? Do you know if that's all in place? The Moai statue in Singapore.
Yeah?
Does it have the crown?
No, it's
The-
just a replica.
Oh, it's a replica.
Yes, see?
Oh, it's not
Another
original.
replica. The one in
Ah,
Wellington here, Helen Clark put it together. She's in charge of the UN, United Nations,
right.
for distributing money for people. But she and the Chileans got one built and put it on the beach in Wellington with the Bishop of Canterbury. Okay, so he's gone from the Bishop of Canterbury here to the Vatican. I've got it all documented.
To the Vatican?
Yes, straight to the Vatican from Wellington with that history.
Okay, and we'll go into that because of the noise and echoing and people passing by. We just wanted to capture this, that it does exist in this Moai statue with its missing body, and its missing crown or basket of knowledge and missing pearl eyes, is located at the Auckland War Memorial Museum within the MOAI artifacts, mostly spears and weapons. And so this was wonderful, King John. We are also going to feature in our next segment, we're going to go to a MOAI marae or meeting house that has a Moai statue that's real or it's a replica?
Real.
It's
in the middle of the floor.
It's
in the middle of the marae inside the meeting.
Okay. And it's a complete, does it just have a head or is it the complete body?
That's got the complete body.
Okay.
A small one.
A small one, okay.
But that's the families that can talk for that moai that they've put there.
Okay.
Not the Crown Corporation, but the natives.
The natives. So yes, so we'll talk about that connection with the Moai and the marae, and hopefully meet some of the Kumatras, the elders that are sharing the story as well, maintaining it and sharing the story. So,
Just want to finish off just a couple of things. First of all, the significance of the moai is the crown, to depict the crown that the Queen wears, and also the mana whenua to the land where he's standing. And so they're strategically placed for some reason, and that means control. They're using, image us, the native, for their political and financial.
the Crown political.
Yes, the Crown Corporation, the crown, the metal crown on the Queen's head, and they've taken our crown and they've taken the authority of that for themselves.
And I think the significance also with the mana whenua, with them buried deep into the earth, that connected them with the power of the earth, especially where Easter Island's located. We'll discuss that, but it's a very powerful energy point. Tapito. Tapito is the name. Is that what they call the statues, right? Tapito.
Tapito, where
the navel belly button.
To the woman there.
The placenta, through the navel, the connection. So these statues are actually entitled Tapito,
Yeah.
even though they've been given the name Moai statue.
Yeah, the moai, the male and the female there is the land into the universe and into the energy. The Milky Way is directly above. Feed the babies.
Oh, the Milky Way to
That's
feed the baby.
story for another day.
Okay, we'll go into that.
But
Stay
the
tuned.
woman's story, not the
The
man's
wo-
story, the
woman's story.
That's why they're all male statues, not female. The female is the birth and the cleansing of
Okay.
the earth.
And it's aligned to the Milky Way. And that's the other significance with the crown or the basket of knowledge, because it is reaching into the heavens,
Yes.
or the Milky Way. And we'll talk more about the Maki.
Yeah,
Maki
Maki is the astrology and astronomy of the Tahitian MOAI statue.
Okay, and that we'll share that. So thank you, King John. It's a
Pleasure.
wonderful rainy day in Auckland on Monday, July 27th, and we'll continue our journey and listening to more King John's historical stories. We appreciate it very much, King John. Thank you.
Thank you very much.